Settle in right now. It is time for the Hodge Pack Sports, Life, and Everything in Between. It's Josh, Misty, and Hodge. Going live. 3, 2, 1.
Good morning and welcome to the Hodge Pack Sports Life and Everything in Between right here on 106.9 The Country Giant. We're brought to you by Lytle Land and Cattle. We're in the Potosi Live studio hanging out here in the Mall of Abilene. And it's going to be a fun show because we're going blast from the past. Former guest host join us, Misty and Josh are out. Josh, we may try to just wake him up. He's an hour behind. It's 6 o'clock in New Mexico for him. Misty had some stuff to do today. So joining us, Trace Michaels.
Hey, man.
And so Trace is with us. Lots to cover, for this time of year where football is starting, baseball is struggling, even though you've got the World Series championship T-shirt on. Not sure we're ready for the repeat.
No repeat.
But there's still a lot going on. We're coming off the Olympics. The AP poll has come out, so we've got college football knocking on the door. High school coaches have been practicing. We've got people that will have their first scrimmages tonight or tomorrow. And so football is in the air, but unfortunately the weather's not feeling football quite yet.
Well, it never does this time of year around here, right?
Oh, not at all. And so, but we have a lot to cover. Looking forward to it. Our Big Country Electric My Town segment, we will have Coach Zane Graves. He's the head football coach at Roby. And very interesting. He's coming back kind of toward where his wife is from. His wife's from Roby. But he is done 11-man and is coming to Roby as the head football coach, 6-man. I'm interested to get his take. He was the last group. His dad was a coach. His dad coached at Roby back in the day, but he was the last group at Rankin that played 11-man football. Of course, Rankin now 6-man. Be interesting to get his take of what it's been like because it's football, but you know as well as I do, it's different.
Yeah, it's different. And I think it takes a special skill set. Innovative mindset, because it is so different. So if you're coming from the 11-man game to that, I'm sure there's a little bit of a learning curve, but at the same time, you can draw some stuff in the dirt and have some fun.
Well, and I've always said, and of course, some of my best friends, because of coaching at Roby, we had 11-man we had 6-man numbers, but we still played 11-man football. But our basketball district was with all the 6-man schools. And so got to know a coach like Mike Reed, who's now at Gordon and getting ready probably to win back-to-back state championships. I've always said it's basketball with pads.
Sure, yeah.
Because we've seen what Rigdon's done. Of course, Grayson's going off to Columbus to play 11-man football. But all that is that it is a different game. And so we'll get Coach Graves' thoughts on that. He's also going to have his quarterback, Caden Maviz, will be joining as well on our Pest Patrol phone line. And so we threw out some questions, our Black Plumbing social media question. It actually got inspired by Freddie and Harry Douglas is the show. Freddie Coleman, Harry Douglas on the afternoons on ESPN. And they got in this debate. Of course, you've done radio for a long time and doing the sports stuff. When you have the morning sports page of when you get to summer and football's not happening and you got to get creative sometimes for content. So they did this selection committee on the top 6 breakfast items. And there were some questionable things. We'll read there. So it inspired me to post it to our Hodge Pack listeners. And, of course, I actually called in. And
oh, did you really?
Yeah, I called in and I said, y'all don't have biscuits and gravy on here. And, of course, I don't know if that's a Texas thing. Anyway, so we'll read yours. Some of y'all's was really funny. Some of y'all only had one word in
bacon.
Bacon. Judd Bill had bacon on all of them, and then he threw out French toast. So, which made Harry Douglas happy because Harry was big on the French toast. So we'll talk about that. We've got the NFC and AFC South North, NFC and AFC South that we'll be looking at this today. I think Trace is probably one of the more really both divisions in the NFC and the AFC. I think have a lot of storylines within that division.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting year in the NFL, I think.
And then again, I mentioned the AP poll came out, and we're going to look at the top 25 and just kind of see where, it's going to be the most interesting college football season of all time because you've got the 12 teams. We thought 4 teams was going to be needed. It was a mistake from the get-go because they had 5 Power 5 conferences and only 4 spots.
Yeah.
But with 12 teams this year, there's so much going on. It adds a whole other excitement.
Well, and you also got such a change in the landscape. Nick Saban no longer coaching. Harbaugh's to the NFL. A lot of those teams that you're looking at, like in the top 10, that are in the top 10 this year, based on what? A lot of them lost their quarterbacks to the NFL. So it's going to be an interesting discussion when you think about and really kind of look at some of those teams because some are replacing coaches, quarterbacks. It's going to be a wild college football season.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing who we think will be in top 25 and who will get in that top 12 playoff. We'll talk about that. But we're going to dive into our Lawrence Hall headline report. It's a good thing. I love Josh and Misty. They don't follow golf probably near as much as you and I actually do. But interesting thing, of course, the FedEx Cup playoffs are starting round 1, tournament 1 this week. No cuts, 70 players. They cut it down to 50. They're playing in Memphis in the St. Jude FedEx Cup, St. Jude Championship. Always love it because the caddy bibs have kids that have drawn on them. They've colored it. But Hideki Matsuyama had a big day yesterday, 600. But I want to go back to last week. Did you see what Kuchar did?
Yeah, I did.
So the Wyndham Classic, which was a great Aaron Ra won the tournament. But the tournament, if you looked on your app, if you followed the PGA and you look on the app, it was not completed until Monday at about 8:45 or 9 o'clock, whenever, is because it started to get dark, wanted to get the tournament in. They'd had some rain delays and pushed back tee times and made it all different, lift clean in place. And Matt Kuchar, who is in the run, is in the last group on Sunday. He and Max Grossman and Chad Rami, of course, Rami was done. But he thought it was so dark that he didn't finish.
Yeah.
But his other 2 people did. So he marks his ball, leaves, and then comes back to finish the next day. And he caught a lot of flack.
Yeah. Well, and so when I first saw it, I thought this is absolutely ridiculous. But then I got thinking about Matt Kuchar. What do we know about Matt Kuchar? He is the George Costanza of cheapness on the PGA Tour. You remember the story about the caddy?
Oh, 100%.
And he's known to be cheap. Well, I think by paring that hole the next morning was like $100,000 difference in his paycheck. Yep. So when you got somebody that's notoriously cheap and he knows how much money, would you do that for $100,000? You might.
Right.
You might.
I might.
I still don't think it's right, but
no.
I can kind of see.
And of course, Todd Lewis, who caught him, and they talked about it, and Matt admitted, I don't want to be that guy, but it looks like I am that guy. Well, it doesn't help your cause for the caddy. Of course, Twitter just lit up because I'm driving back from Rotan and listening to some radio and all that, and they're all talking about, and again on Twitter, it's saying, hey, I don't care. Don't interview Aaron right now. Somebody go get Matt Kuchar. What just happened? So I tweeted to the No Laying Up guys like, what did I miss?
Yeah.
And they started saying basically Kuchar just stopped, quit, walked off. And the joke, Jim Nance is like, well, my understanding is Matt Kuchar has marked his ball and will be playing tomorrow. And Nance says something to the tone of, I don't think we'll be covering that in the morning. And so Matt Kuchar ends up doing all that. But I thought it was interesting. If we had a disaster of the week, he would be it. But the FedEx Cup happening, Scotty Scheffler saying it's silly. I don't know how you make it different. He was talking about how it's a season-long race to the FedEx Cup. Well, they'll play. You'll go from 70, you'll go to 50, and then ultimately the top 30. And then they'll have that weird, hey, you have a 3-stroke lead. You have this stroke lead. If you're in the 30, you have no chance. You're just trying to get as high up as you can to win as much money as possible.
Yeah, and that's really what it's all about. And I don't know how they fix it. I don't necessarily think that it's all the way broken anyway,
right.
But I don't know how else you kind of do it. I mean, how do you come up with something that, because at this point in the season, what are they competing against? They're competing against college football and the NFL. And they've got to do something to kind of keep people engaged. The majors are over. So what do they do? And so this is the only solution, and I really don't know what else they could possibly come up with. So, and, as golf fans, I think we're going to watch it. And if they change it as golf fans, I think we're going to watch it. But I don't know that they're going to they're not going to pull me away from the Cowboys game on Sunday afternoon with the FedEx Cup.
And they knew that, and that's why they did all that they did. They said, hey, let's get it over before the meat of or the beginning of college football or the NFL. I do think it hurts that they've moved the PGA Championship into May.
Not a fan of that.
Because even though the FedEx Cup has a lot of money at stake, there's not a desire to, like if the PGA Championship was in August and you had to find a place at 105, people are going to watch that because it's still a major. Is it the fourth major of the ranking? Yes, but it's still a major.
Right.
And Xander Schauffele is not disappointed he has won a PGA Championship. So anyway, FedEx Cup happened this week. I really need Patrick Cantlay to pick it up. He's not playing very good. I should have went with Matsuyama. The other thing, the Olympics are over.
Why would you go with Matsuyama though? I mean, with what he just was he the guy that got robbed in London?
I don't know if he got robbed, but I know he shot 6 under yesterday. And
yeah, I think it was Matsuyama that got robbed in London, and so his caddy and his coach, because they got their passports stolen. Did you see this story?
No, I did not. We about to Google this on the break.
No, I think it was Hideki that they got robbed in London. They took their the coach and the caddy's passport. So they ended up not being able to come, and so they got somebody else's caddy is on his back. I'm pretty sure it was Hideki. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't read as many golf stories as I did when I had my own show.
Right.
Now that I don't have my own show, I'm not quite as up on things. But that was a story a couple of days ago on ESPN.
Oh wow, yeah, I'll have to check that out because anyway, but I need Patrick Cantlay to pick it up on round 2. As we finish up our Lawrence Hall headline report, we do want to say, hey, congratulations to Abilene Flying Bison. Successful season, number 1. Great job on the year. Came up short in the championship game of the Mid-American League, but got to the championship. Had great attendance all year. They say they're excited for 2025. Their social media said, we're going to the off season, but we're not going into the complete hole. We're going to be out there still doing some things. Made it to the Tuesday night game. Did not make to the apparently exciting final game.
Yeah, I saw. Well, I guess there was some sort of issue. Umpire, people yelling. Umpire threw a hissy fit, threw the balls on the field.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't go to a game, which is really crazy. I can't believe the season's already over because I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the next game. I'll go to the next game. And then all of a sudden the season's over. So I didn't get to go to any games. But, that's a story that I heard that things kind of got crazy the other night. And, it's always something. It seems like something crazy.
Well, and that's the thing. And, of course, again, we just want to show that we can have nice things. We appreciate McMurray hosting all year. Again, John Stark and Coach Vega and all the team, congratulations on a successful year. We'll be interested to see what year 2 brings. And, of course, good luck to all those guys that are going back to college to continue their career. But, again, that's our Lawrence Hall headline report. When we come back, Tracy's got the World Championship T-shirt on, but doesn't look like repeats happening. But he's going to be there tomorrow. We'll be back. All right, the Hideki. What's up, Connie? What's up, Randy? Brad? All right, so 47 wins. Google.
I just swore it was Hideki. Could be wrong. It was definitely Asian golfer.
When it comes to finding the right vehicle for you, there's no better place than Lawrence Hall and Apple.
Yeah, there you go. Matsuyama without caddy, coach after robbery.
Yep. So you can get robbed, no passport. How do you eventually get back?
According to this article, let's see, I saw this. Passports and visas were stolen, but Hideki's passport and his Olympic medal were not taken, according to the article. So Hayato and Kuromiya had to return to Japan, where they've asked for expedited documents to return to the U.S. There's a chance they'll make it to Colorado, but we have to go into that thinking it's close to zero, Matsuyama told Golf Digest Japan. Ryo's caddy, Taga Tabuchi, is now on Matsuyama's bag for this week.
Huh. Now, if I'm the caddy that's left in London and Matsuyama wins this week, do I get to?
Yeah.
Am I now unemployed?
Well, for me, because I'm superstitious like that, if I win this week, this guy's staying on my bag until we lose.
Right.
I'm not flipping him out.
Somebody threw this out on one of the shows I was listening to, or that I listened to, and they said they thought that the trade deadline ought to be bumped back. And
Yeah.
or there ought to be a window to start trading. Like once you know you're out of it, how can you start now still making yourself better? Because the Rangers are out.
Yeah, I think where it's at is fair, because that forces the GMs to make a decision. And I mean, like Chris Young had a decision to make. You got three guys in Yates, Robertson, and Baldy that you could have dealt, but you got to roll the dice. Your team.
So is DeGrom ever going to play for the Rangers?
Supposedly he's about to go on a rehab assignment. But if I'm them, I don't pitch him this year. What's the point? Unless he really wants to pitch, what's the point?
Right.
Yeah, he's throwing against live batters now. He's about to go on a rehab assignment. We're 10 games back, 10.5 out of the wild card.
I guess you are better off just, hey, sit out one more year. And
I'll just put him on the shelf for the James. No need for him to go out there and try to throw 100 and blow his arm up again. You got Scherzer, if you can get another year, he's on a contract for next year. His arm doesn't fall off.
we'll talk a little bit about what you found out about Hideki.
Okay.
We are back on the Country Giant, rocking and rolling here in the Potosi Live studio. Again, check out all their shows that are coming up and go check out Potosi Live. Trace did look up. We do have, it is accurate. Hideki is,
right.
Hideki's got a different caddy.
Yeah, so I guess when they were in London, they stopped there on the way from the Olympics for whatever reason. It says after capturing bronze in Paris, Matsuyama stopped in London before flying to Memphis. They were robbed. Yes, Matsuyama had his wallet stolen, but his passport and Olympic medal were not taken. But his caddy and coach both had their passport and visa stolen. So they had to go back to Japan and are waiting for expedited documents. And so he hired Ryo Hisatsune, his caddy, a guy named Taiga Tabuchi, to be his caddy this week at TPC Southwind. So crazy story.
Yeah.
If he wins, that caddy's got to stay on the bag.
Right. Well, but my question is what is the benefit of taking the passport and visa?
I don't know if they were just grabbing stuff, and maybe what they grabbed, that's what, they're grabbing wallets or grabbing whatever.
Right.
And end up with it because they don't take Matsuyamas. So, I mean, who knows, So, but that's pretty scary, that you could be in that kind of situation at all.
Right. And it'll be interesting to see if Japan expedites, gets everything ready for his caddy, who has one of the most memorable photos of all time, bowing at the green at the 18th green at the Masters.
Well, we got to get Hideki on some private jets or something. I mean, I don't know if it happened at the airport, but
right.
He flew coach after he won in Augusta.
Yes.
Let's get this guy some private security.
Well, hey, NetJets, NetJets, wheels up. Let's figure out a way to get a sponsorship.
Something for this guy and keep him from getting robbed when he's making stopovers.
He's just a Masters champion.
Yeah.
No
big deal.
But anyway, so that is happening. Golf is happening, but it is time for our first Bank and Trust Texas Ranger MLB report. And I want to start with a bit of some good news, since when we get to the Rangers, it's not such good news. But again, one of my favorite players growing up, have the same first name, was on TV on WGN all the time. That's why people became Braves fans because of TBS and Cubs fans because of WGN. Ironically, I have a better chance of watching the other teams than my favorite team now, the Rangers, because they're not on TV unless you have a secret code or something like that. But
I don't want to miss a game, so I don't know what everybody else's problem is. So there's easy solutions to this.
There is, but the thing about direct, well, let's get to the good news. The good news is Ryan Sandberg, Hall of Fame second baseman.
Did you say y'all had the same first name?
Yeah.
You do?
We did. Well, we spell it differently.
I was going to say, isn't it Ryne?
Yeah, I think he still says it Ryan. I just don't know. I could find my name tag or a keychain in a Buc-ee's. He's probably not finding that. They're not spelling
I
that.
always thought it was just like Ryan, like a watermelon Ryan.
Right. Yeah. He's not getting that taken care of. But he did get to ring the bell, saying, "We did it. What a dream team! Family, doctors, friends, nurses, fans who supported myself and Margaret through this last 8 months. We feel so blessed from all the love, prayers, and thoughts and positive words that have come our way." Ryan Sandberg, cancer-free, always. Again, we could make that our Black Plumbing breath of fresh air moment. Because Ryan Sandberg was one of those guys that people related to because they got to watch him so much.
Yeah, I grew up in the 70s watching the Cubs on WGN with my grandfather. So I was a Cubs fan growing up. Matter of fact, I didn't even know the Rangers existed until I was my teenager. And Ryan Sandberg, all those guys from that era, I've always been a big fan. And so when I saw that news on ESPN, I was certainly ecstatic because just a legend if you're a baseball fan, period, but especially if you are of in our age range and kind of grew up watching the Cubbies. The Cubs and Braves had such a big fan base, because of cable television back in the 70s and 80s.
And really, they weren't that good.
No.
Until the early 90s that the Braves really kind of turned it around. They weren't even good to watch, but they were on TV.
Every game.
And, they made a big deal. I was listening to the ticket. We were talking about the ticket earlier. And when they made a big deal about the first night game at Wrigley, and it's like, lights have been around a long time, guys. Electricity's been here a while. But they made a big deal. And then it was always funny. We're going to get to the Rangers, but again, when you're not that excited, there's not a whole lot to talk about, is that every once in a while, it's like they had an obligation to show a White Sox game on WGN. It's like, okay, well, the Cubs are not playing today. How about a White Sox game?
Yeah, I just remember, we lived actually until I was in third grade. I lived across the street from my grandparents, and I knew that if the Cubs had a home game, it was 1:15. I went across the street at 1 o'clock, had a Pop-Tart and a Dr. Pepper with my grandfather, and watched the Cubs every day during the summer. And just I'll never forget that. So the Cubs are an important part of my life, and so that was great news to see that Sandberg's cancer-free now.
Yeah, and again, Ryan Sandberg cancer-free. Before we get to the Rangers, the other thing is we saw that Aaron Judge hit 300 home runs, fastest to get to 300. Do we think? Of course, they make a lot of money now, a lot more money. Don't have to play as long because of the money that you make. Do we think Bonds' record, or even the 715 of Hank Aaron, is in jeopardy or in the sight of Aaron Judge?
I mean, it could be. I think it all depends on, for a guy like him, will his body hold up? I mean, obviously last year, that injury that he had was such a freak deal. Is that going to be the case for him? I mean, I don't know that he has a massive injury history. Last year, the toe thing that he hit on the fence and, chasing out a fly ball. So I think it just kind of boils down to if he wants to. How long does he want to play?
Well, they remind me, you talk to coaches or whatever today that have been coaching a long time, or, we talked with Brad Pursley a few weeks ago about the Olympics and how pole vault really hadn't changed. I mean, it's still a fiberglass pole, and you run, you bend it and all that. He goes, but the athletes are bigger, faster, stronger. Athletes today remind me of cars. They are nicer. They look great. They are, fancy and all those things. But if one thing goes wrong on a computer in that car, or you get into a bit of a wreck instead of a big metal car like back in the day, it could all be done in total like that. Do we think these athletes are so bigger, so faster, all that their injury prone is so much higher that we're seeing almost too strong for their own good?
No, I absolutely agree with that. I believe that during my time of coaching, that you see these guys that, you got guys that when we were in high school in the 80s, guys that were on the offensive line nowadays wouldn't even be able to get on the field.
Right.
Because these guys are so much bigger, faster, stronger. When you're talking about Judge, he's 32 years old. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize he was 32. So, but you look at some of these guys that could he play another 10 years? Maybe. With the DH, in both leagues, Judge, could he play another 10 years? Let's say he played till he was 40. And you got guys that were productive. I mean, heck, Nelson Cruz was productive into his 40s.
Right.
If he did 8 more years and if he averaged 40 a year for 8 more years, that's 320. That puts him at 620. I don't know. I don't think he gets there.
I don't think he gets there. I think pretty much the baseball records that we drooled over, talked about, debated about are going to stay. Nolan Ryan's 5,000 strikeouts, the no hitters, the home runs by Barry Bonds. Yes, it lasted forever, but I just don't know if people are going to play long enough, stay healthy enough, play through injuries enough to continue to see those records ever be in jeopardy.
Yeah, but I think you're probably right.
So now let's transition to the Texas Rangers, who are on a bit of a continue their struggle. They lose last night 3-2 to the Twins. Is it because of how long does the Grace cover? The World Series is going to cover how long before?
So nobody's gone back to back in 2 decades. I think that expectations for us, when you look at, say, us as Rangers fans, when you look at this team and all the pieces that they had coming in to the season, that you say, okay, this team has an opportunity, a chance to win again. But it is so hard to win a championship in any sport. And if you think back, so Bochy won 3 in a 6-year span with the Giants, and it happened every other year. They were all even years. So let's say that he sticks around long enough to do that with Texas. We'd take that.
Oh, 100%.
I do feel a little bit of disappointment about the way this season's gone. Lots of injuries, guys not hitting the way they did. The offense has been absolutely horrible compared to last year. But golly, you think about all the stuff that went into last year, and it's the first title ever. These guys were doing stuff. Their offseason was so short, because of how long they played, plus all the other stuff they were probably doing. There's a reason why it's almost impossible to go back-to-back in Major League Baseball. And so I think we give them a super serious all pass. Thank you for last year.
Right.
We're never going to forget that. And it doesn't matter how many more they win, Ryan. It's never going to feel the same for us as fans like last year did anyway.
Well, and it's no different than we look at and why Dirk was great and everybody loved Dirk. But when they won that title and they beat LeBron and they beat the Heat and they won that championship, that's why the statue's out front of American Airlines is because of what he did. And I think you mentioned it. I think your off season, you play, an extra month or so into the postseason, you win it, appearances, your vacation that you thought you normally took in October or doesn't happen. And so I do think there's a lot to World Series hangover, whether it's a Super Bowl hangover that you won or lost. They both experience that just with the ring if you want it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's so hard to go back to back, and because we've seen it, more often in the NFL than we've seen it. Of course, we've seen it in the NBA as well. But I think if you ask any of those players and coaches, that winning it the first time was not as difficult as winning it again.
Right.
What's the old saying? It's super hard to get to the top, but it's even harder to stay there.
Yeah.
And so I don't think, that any of us should be super disappointed. I mean, gosh, all the fan giveaways that they've had this year, incredible giveaways at the stadium. And, None of that happens. They're not having a ring night if you don't win a ring.
Right.
And if we win another one, say next year or the year after, because this team is definitely built for success in the future. They're not going away. And so let's say they win one, in 2025. Well, the ring giveaways the next year are not going to mean as much. So I think everybody that's bashing the Rangers, especially on Twitter, chill out, calm down. If you really thought we were going to win 3 or 4 in a row, you were a lunatic to begin with.
Right.
So just relax a little bit.
And if you really want to understand, call the Cleveland Indians or the Guardians, call those teams that have never won one that are still on the outside looking in. But speaking on the outside looking in, when we come back, the top 25 is out, and we all know preseason rankings don't mean much. All right, go check the stream. What's up, people? That poor old Jones is going to have to stare at that spinning computer for years. I think.
What happened?
That's my fault. I should have checked the stream earlier. That part of the show did get quick. Where's me? See where Texas has lost 2 running backs?
Yeah, I saw that. Of course, I would prefer Texas lose every game for the rest of history.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of folks that feel that way. We'll probably make Misty's bag. We can make that. This question. Oh, I can't play Dion's.
See what he come out and say he's no longer prime?
No.
I didn't know what you were talking about.
I was like, is his prime time, is it starting to fade that nobody cares? I guess I can look that up and play it off my phone.
Who's the one person that voted for Colorado on the AP coaches or the AP people?
Must have been Dion's friend. There wasn't anybody from CBS.
No. The AFCA coaches poll. You got 2 votes for Colorado. We know where that one came from.
Does your son still play much golf?
Yeah. How about Central Arkansas? 13 in the preseason rankings. And Tarleton, 21. Where's ACU?
Dream home. CCSB's experienced team will walk you through every step of the mortgage process. Visit ColemanBank.com to make your next move. FDIC.
We are here to fire you up, and we are trying to be sure that we don't want to offend. And I know Dion has downloaded, subscribed, and rated and reviewed the Hodge Pack podcast. We want you to do the same. But we appreciate Dion because we want to be sure. I know since he's listening in Boulder, we don't want to offend him. But college football is here. College football is right around the corner. Just got a very interesting tweet from James Flores on our chat machine over here on our Facebook Live and YouTube Live, interviewing a Roby Lion head coach on our Pest Patrol phone line in an orange shirt, which is their rival of Rotan, which I now preach in Rotan. Coached at Roby for 7 years. It took me a long time to even tolerate orange. And so now we're bringing it all full circle as people come in together. We're doing that today.
Well, the collar's orange, but we'll say the stripes are peach color.
There you
go.
Yeah, we're peach, James. It's peach. You're looking at it wrong. But football is coming against Zane Graves, and Caden Myviz will be on our Pest Patrol phone line at 8:15. But college football is here, is really, really getting close. Next weekend we'll have some games. Really, the first full weekend of good games is that August 31st day where Georgia and Clemson will be playing, LSU and USC. And the AP 25 came out. And as we look at that, one of the things that came out is, Dion got upset at a CBS reporter about, this guy said, I'm so-and-so from CBS, which was the local Denver, wasn't even national, and Dion didn't want to talk to him.
Yeah.
And we had some technical difficulties, or we'd play you the press conference. And as we look at this, and we'll get to the top 25, is Dion's prime, and I put that in our little sheet, is his prime going, is his prime time leaving, and he's no longer prime time, it's just a time that they play? Is he on mountain time now instead of prime time?
I don't know. You think about the beginning of the season last year. What was that, week 2, where they had that, 17 overtime game or whatever crazy ending?
Well, it was right after they beat TCU, which big deal. And so College Game Day goes to Boulder and for the Colorado State.
Oh, and that game was incredible.
Right.
Absolutely incredible. But then they ended up winning 2 more games the rest of the year. So, I'm of the position that – and I absolutely love Deion Sanders. I think he brings a lot to the game. I think he's a guy that, to me, having spent some time coaching at the college level, making him in is more important than anything. And I think that he's got the ability to do that. Also think that he hires guys around him as coaches to do that. But if he wants to continue to be prime, he's got to win more games. And if he was sitting here in the studio, he'd say the same thing. You got to win more games, and you can't be primetime anymore. You can't be Coach Prime. Right. He's always going to be primetime Deion Sanders.
Right.
But you can't be Coach Prime unless you win more games. 4 is not going to cut it. You're going to have to win more games. We can't call you Coach Prime anymore. You're just Coach Sanders.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting. Is Shadur going to be the guy, and Travis Hunter? I mean, he's got some kids, and he talked about, I was listening again, Freddie and Harry, and they had Dion on this past week, and talked about, of course, the rest of that press conference. Somebody was asking about, did you bolster your line? And he was like,
he said, I don't know what the word bolster means.
Yeah, I've not used bolster in a sentence. And he goes, beef up. And he said, how about improve? But you are going to have to protect. I don't care how good you are as a quarterback. If you don't have anybody up front protecting you and allowing you to get the ball to Travis Hunter, to allow you to get the ball to your receivers and create, it makes it difficult. And so I do think it's going to be interesting because of the Big 12. And again, we'll go ahead to the top 25. There's 9 SEC teams. And to me, there is not a front-running team in the Big 12. Texas and OU are gone.
Yeah.
There's nobody that says, okay. So to me, Dion's got a chance if he really – if that line and he – all the people they've brought in, all the coaches with the NFL experience, if he could make it to where, hey, we can make a run in this Big 12 thing because there is nobody. The Red Raiders, I love Coach McGuire. I hope he finds a way to get things going in Lubbock. But there's just nobody saying, I'm taking them, not even worrying about the field.
Yeah, no, I think if Colorado's in a great position from a conference standpoint to step up, and I think they're definitely going to win more than 4 games this year. They'll see an improvement there. And, Dion's ability to recruit. Now, the tough thing is, he had some offensive linemen leave because of the way he talked about them throughout the season. And so the guys that were willing to come in through the transfer portal to play offensive line at Colorado, do they possess the kind of talent where they would say, okay, I'm going to go there and I'm going to protect the head coach's son that's super high profile. And if I don't do a good job, I could be mentioned in the press. How great were the guys that they did bring in? Because I guarantee there are players that probably thought about going to Colorado and said, you know what, I don't want to be part of that.
Right.
So.
And there is some perks. I mean, there is a perk when Deion Sanders says, we want you to come play.
Sure.
He's a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest athletes, not just football, one of the greatest athletes of all time. Played baseball, played football, and one of the most polarizing people, and you're getting to play for him. And the connections that you're going to have down the road and all that. So,
but you're also going to be under the microscope, and if you're an offensive lineman and you're not doing well, and you could get called out by the same coach you're talking about, there might have been some guys that say, you know what, I've got these other offers. I think I'm going to go there because I don't want to be under that microscope in the national media while I'm trying to protect, the head coach's son. So.
Right. That's something you hear like in a West Texas town that's very similar to taking care of them. Yeah. So we've got the top 25. Again, the highest ranked Big 12 team is Utah at 12. You got Georgia at number 1, Ohio State, Oregon, and Texas. Alabama, probably the first time in a long time they're that low. Everybody else in the country would love to be ranked number 5. Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan, and Florida State round out your top 10. And then, of course, again, I mentioned 9 SEC teams that are going to be in it. The new college football playoff system, 4 conference champions, 4 highest ranking. So you can have as many people from a conference as possible. And I go back to the Big 12, and, of course, we cover A&M football. A&M is at number 20. New coach. Be interesting to see how things go there. But I don't know if the Big 12 is going to get, like when it comes to the NCAA tournament season in March Madness, all of them may be it. But in football, I don't know how many Big 12 teams are going to be able to get into the 12-team playoff.
You're going to have to win all but 1 or 2 games. If you're going to be the conference champion, obviously, you stand a chance there. But are you going to be a conference champion with the best record? I think it's going to be tough. The SEC is king, no doubt about it. But when you take a look at some of these teams, I think there are more questions going into this season than we've had in a long time.
Well, it's the first year. You mentioned it earlier. It's the first year without no Nick Saban. Can Coach Dabo Swinney get going in the back right direction and get Clemson back into the talk of national championship contenders? Great question by James. Says if you're Colorado and you don't finish the season 500, even after bringing all these big time guys in, do you continue and stay with Coach Prime? I think you stay with Coach Prime because if Coach Prime leaves, Colorado's irrelevant.
Let's say
if Coach
as long
Prime
as he wants to stay there, keep him there.
You keep him because he is, and he may not like it, but he did what Caitlin Clark did for women's basketball. At the beginning of college football, Deion was the talk.
Yeah.
I mean, Deion was, and then they didn't win, and then it started going, and it wasn't like they had some injuries and people got hurt and all that. But for that window from about September 1st till about September, a couple, 3 or 4 weeks in, it was about Deion.
Yeah.
And people were talking about it. College Game Day was Ed Boulder and Pat McAfee and had the glasses on and all that. So, yes, I think you keep Prime because if Prime were to leave, we're going to know more about just your black and gold T-shirt and hat than we do the black and gold that's in Colorado.
Well, and the enrollment's up in Colorado. Merch sales is up. If he's willing to stay a couple of more years, at some point, I mean, if you go 4-8 or 4-9 after the games they play now, a couple of years in a row, then you may have to part ways. But he might quit.
And
he'll quit before he gets fired.
And he mentioned it in an interview again with Freddie and Harry. Harry said, "Hey, do you see yourself ever coaching in the NFL?" Because that's been the talk. Well, when this season's over, Mike McCarthy doesn't have whatever kind of year, we'll go and play. We'll just have Deion be the next Dallas Cowboys coach. He said no because he don't think he can go in and tell that guy that's making X $million, you need to do this, da-da-da-da-da. And it's different than making men, like you mentioned, at the college level.
Yeah, I get it. He'll leave Colorado before he gets fired. because if he doesn't have the success, he's prideful enough. I mean, he's prime time.
Right.
That he'll say, you know what, this isn't working. He'll step down before he gets fired.
So, and of course, the other news: Texas lost 2 running backs during the camp. What do you think, and what's your thoughts on Texas and OU, and what kind of impact do you think they make in the SEC?
I don't know. If for all years for them to be going to the SEC, I think this is probably a good one. When you take a look at what Texas has, especially at the quarterback position, they had a couple of running backs go down, but neither of those 2 guys were household names. They've got a couple of pretty big running back commits there. I don't think that hurts them as much as some people might think. So I think Texas actually has a pretty good chance in the SEC. But gosh, man, running the gauntlet in conference play, the SEC, they've never experienced that before because that gauntlet did not exist in the Big 12. So those 2 teams, it's going to be rough.
And really to say, up until last year, they didn't even dominate and run through the gauntlet of the Big 12 schedule really well. And so I'm sure a lot of Texas folk, of course, they start with Colorado State, but then they've got Michigan. They go to Michigan. They'll take care of UTSA. They'll take care of Louisiana Monroe. Mississippi State will probably not be there. It's an SEC game. You gotta play them. But then, of course, the traditional OU game. But they've got Georgia coming to Austin. They've got Florida coming to Austin. They've got to go to Arkansas. And, of course, the big game that we'll be excited covering on KLGD, the A&M Texas rivalry being renewed, to me is great, not only for pocketbooks there, but for those 2 fan bases.
Yeah, I'm a Texas Tech guy, so I'm not a fan of A&M or UT, but I'm a football fan before I'm a Texas Tech fan, and to have that matchup back on our calendars as football fans is absolutely a wonderful thing. Not having Texas and Texas A&M playing each other every year was, quite frankly, absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
So I am glad that's back. I think A&M, the Jimbo experience was bad, but I think they have a good hire, and so I think A&M may be a little bit better than what people think. So that game could be really interesting down the stretch.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We got some college games next week, full slate on August 31st. When we come back, we're going to make you a little bit of hungry right after this. Right, they're there. Yeah, Coach Prime can stay as long as he wants. Yeah. He's made so much money for them.
Have you enjoyed the Potosi Live experience yet? If not, you're missing one of the best atmospheres around, with amazing food, great drinks, live music, and TVs to watch your favorite sporting events. The Potosi Live team will make sure you have an experience that you're going to tell your friends about. Check out PotosiLive.com or go like Potosi Live on Facebook for their upcoming live music and ticket events. Head out to Potosi at 897 FM 1750 for the Potosi Live experience. Hello, Emily, in the big country. My name's John Key. I am a resident at Disability Resources Incorporated. I'm here to tell you about our document.
The Jimbo was also very expensive.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Couldn't happen to a better place.
Yeah. I hope they got that saved somewhere on the cloud, because that computer may be maybe having to go down to Best Buy and get a new one.
So they get the Geek Squad down here. Well, if it's fixable, then James Thompson will fix it.
we had some.
So did Robert Griffin III actually get fired from ESPN? Is that a true story?
Yep, he and Sam Ponder. They let Sam Ponder go too. She'd been the host of that the NFL Sunday show for years.
Why'd they let her go?
They said budget cuts, but a lot of people are.
RG3 was annoying. I couldn't stand it. I'm very happy about that move. He tried too hard.
Right.
What was the deal with him? A budget cut as well?
I guess, unless they thought he was annoying.
He just always had just too much. Over the top, man. What about the Notre Dame swim team? Jeez.
What happened with that?
Huh?
What happened there?
Banned for a year because they covered all of our gambling on each other, wagering with each other about results, and they were done for a year, suspended. No Notre Dame swimming. Whole year. Crazy. Ever betting on March Madness? Betting on their own times, betting on themselves.
You can't do that.
No. Probably started out pretty innocent. Hey, Ryan, I bet you can't swim this thing in less than a minute.
Right.
And then apparently there was like a big group text that they discovered. And these guys were going back and forth.
The time has changed and it's time to hit the range at Mulligan Sports Bar, Grill, and Golf. Come relax on the patio, hit golf balls on the driving range, play 18 holes, and go enjoy a delicious meal, cold drinks with friends. Head to 1166 Penritchie Drive, Mulligan Sports Bar, Grill, and Golf. You'll be glad you did.
Hey, Big Country, thinking of buying a home but don't know
How much pre-show did you and McGraw do?
Well, I did my own head.
Right.
No, we did. We had those circular. I had that clock on the dry race, so I'd get there and fill in.
Or cheap seats. The best place to be is logged in to KLGD1069.com, listening to the best sports radio show in the Big Country, the Hodge Pack, bringing the action to you.
We are bringing the action to you here in the Mall of Abilene, and Hodge and Trace Michael's in, Misty and Josh out this week. We'll be all back next week and getting ready for our pick'ems. We'll be talking about that next week. We'll have our picks start to come up with full slate of games that August 31st weekend. Of course, high school football, again, schedule people scrimmaging today or tomorrow. And, of course, next week will be scrimmage number 2. And high school football will be up and rolling.
Hard to believe.
Oh, it's good, and hopefully Josh is where he's at. Will bring the good weather that he's hopefully getting. Will bring that back. But this is normally the time we do Misty's Bag from Mulligan's. Don't forget, Mulligan's Bash is happening September 14th. Scotty McCreary, Ashley Cook, Della Rose, and Caleb Sutton. Be sure you get your tickets. Scotty McCreary's already done, of course, with social media. Has done a little commercial you can watch on Facebook. But go check it out. I know Kyle and Sam and all the folks at Mulligan's are getting things ready. And again, proceeds of that event portions are going to go to the American Cancer Society. We mentioned earlier Ryan Sandberg, Cancer Free. A lot of that, the research that happens with the American Cancer Society, helping folks daily. So be sure you get your tickets for Mulligan's Bash. And we don't want to miss being able to do the sounder. So we will do it right now.
Next.
Yeah, it never gets old, and hopefully Misty's watching, getting ready for her
She didn't
day.
want to hang out with me this morning. What's the deal?
No, she had some well, this is a real job, but she had some things come up at work and had meetings and all that, and sometimes work gets in the way of fun, and so she was definitely disappointed not to be here. But we don't want to not ask the question, so we kind of combined. We threw our question out on Facebook, and again, it got started this week with Freddie and Harry throwing out the selection committee. Of course, talking about college football, the AP poll, the selection committee of ranking breakfast items, and so theirs was because to me, breakfast is, they say it's the most important meal of the day, but I think good breakfast is just hard to beat. And I like when it's chilly at night, maybe during the fall, for breakfast being
breakfast and dinner.
Oh, breakfast for dinner is just so fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, of course, we had burritos today and all that. But so we started looking, and I started thinking, okay, what are the similarities between folks? Of course, Freddie has been on ESPN for years. Harry Douglas grew up in Atlanta, lives in Atlanta, played for the Falcons, played for the Titans, played at Louisville back in the day. And so they had all these different items. And so pancakes were on there. Bacon was number one. Breakfast sandwich was number two, which I thought that was odd that breakfast sandwich would be.
Because you got multiple things in a breakfast. Look, the only thing that can be number one, that should be number one, is eggs. And the reason why is when do you really have breakfast? I mean, you have bacon and eggs, sausage and eggs, but there's always eggs. I mean, if you go to a breakfast buffet, there's always going to be eggs there. While there may not be bacon, or there may not be pancakes, or there may not be sausage, there's always going to be eggs. So doesn't eggs have to be the number one item?
Well, so here are their six. It's bacon, breakfast sandwich, pancakes number three, chicken and waffles were four, five, which I thought should have, I don't know who we could compare them to, like in the football world, but shrimp and grits. To me, that I don't see that as a breakfast item. That's got to be a Southern thing.
I have when I go to Papa Do's.
Right, yeah, at lunch or at dinner.
Yeah.
And then eggs was six, which to me I thought was an awkward position.
So they're talking about breakfast items more than breakfast food.
Yeah, the breakfast item.
All right, well, give me carne asada number one.
Okay, carne asada number one at the top for Trace. But I just think, and I called into Freddie and Harry, and my struggle was that biscuits and gravy wasn't on there.
Yeah.
Because to me, biscuits and gravy, not brown gravy, biscuits and white gravy, maybe a little bit of grease from one of the two meats, either the bacon or sausage.
In there.
Yeah, thrown into that gravy. And so I told them, of course, their big debate was French toast not making the top six. I'm not a French toast guy.
Love French toast. Prefer French toast over pancakes.
See, I'm not. And I told Freddie, I said, give me peanut butter, put peanut butter and syrup on your pancakes, something my grandmother taught.
Wait a minute. Peanut butter?
On pancakes or waffles with syrup.
I've never tried it, so I can't knock it, but it doesn't sound normal to me.
Oh, I'm not saying it's normal. I'm not putting it anywhere near normal, but it is fantastic. Some of the answers that we got from, again, on our Black Plumbing social media feed, Lynn Lawhon, and shocker, this is from him, bacon from Rosenthal's Meat Center on the campus of Texas A&M.
Oh, well, yeah, of course, Lynn.
Yeah, not shocked on that. Yeah. Patty Martin says fried eggs, bacon, potatoes in some form, pancakes, biscuits, and gravy made her top.
Yeah.
Don Connell, biscuit with sausage, gravy, and scrambled eggs, bacon, fried eggs, pancakes, donuts, and the one that I thought might have creeped in, it did get in on Don's rankings, is cereal.
See, I've known Don a long time. Don is an extremely intelligent human being, a fantastic singer, if you didn't know that.
Yeah.
And his list is, I think it's pretty spot on.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Now, the sausage gravy, I can go either way, but it's good.
We had sausage gravy last night.
Yeah.
Gravy fries in my house.
Oh, gravy fries, huh?
Yeah. You make fries, sausage gravy, cheese. Growing up in Lubbock, I went to Lubbock Cooper, and there was a place called Sputter's right next door. and they had gravy fries for like $1.25 after school. So we'd always get gravy fries while we waited on our parents to pick us up. So I've tried to recreate the Sputter's gravy fries from
which I like. I like if I'm at one of the places that have gravy with fries. I like fries with gravy. So that
sausage gravy on fries with some cheese. It's great.
Definitely may have to look into
that.
that.
Look away. Eat stuff like that.
Coffee. Didn't know if that would count or not. Coffee.
It's not really breakfast food. It's a necessity.
Yeah, coffee, taco, coffee. This is Bridget Brewer's list. Coffee, tacos, coffee, bacon and eggs, coffee, and some Raisin Bran or shredded wheat.
Oh, yeah. Nobody mentioned water.
No, nobody's mentioned water. We got a couple more before we head to the 8 o'clock hour. Biscuits and gravy. Thank you, Randy Burson. Bacon and eggs. And, of course, Chuck Holbrook just went straight cereal. Frosted Flakes, Fruit Loops, Fruity Pebbles, Captain Crunch Berries, Corn Flakes with fresh banana, sprinkles of sugar, Wheaties with 3.5 ounces of sugar.
Why didn't Chuck say a mooyah?
Well, I don't think they're open early enough for bread. And then, of course, Judd, and we'll end with his. But Judd asked Chuck, "Are you sure only 3.5 ounces of sugar? I'm going to need a lot more than that to get through Wheaties." And then Judd, of course, went bacon, and threw in.
I saw his. I got to agree with that.
Threw in some French
stuff.
toast.
I got to have bacon.
Yes, bacon is the king of all,
no doubt,
of all the breakfast items. And so, anyway, again, breakfast items, appreciate it. Don't forget to get your Mulligan's Bash tickets. And again, we appreciate what they're doing, not only with the Bash and the concert, but giving back to American Cancer Society.
Coffee. It's what's for breakfast.
It is. Coffee is what's for breakfast. I'm not a coffee guy. It's only going to be Dr. Pepper. I call it my Frappuccino. When we come back, we'll kick off hour number 2.
KLTV, Stanford, Abilene, 106.9 FM.
All right, so
Where real country music lives.
I'm going to send this to
The Country Giant. Being there.
send that to Jones and see if he wants me to do anything with it.
Oh, does it come up?
Well, it just says automatic repair. Your PC did not start correctly, and it wants you to restart. I've got a feeling.
He said James is coming up here and try to tell you to leave it be.
Shows now.
You were the most important part of
Leave it alone.
Stop by our offices in Roby, Cider, and Stanford.
Football. Coach Graves will settle that. Really going to find out. It's either going to pump through, or we will pull that out and go live. Okay. Make sure no one is coaching here. Streaming doesn't know it's
documents or any of those annoying boxes that have stacked up over the years. Give us a call, 325-232-6918. Come on out and see us at 3602 North Clark Street. You'll be glad you did.
New Happy Thursday Spiked Refreshers, a non-carbonated refresher with alcohol for weekend flavor any day of the week. Like when you get a case of the Monday.
Not as many people walking the mall anymore,
Huh?
Or when
They still have a bunch of mall walkers.
Oh, yeah.
Happy Thursday. And by Wednesday, you're already halfway
Right there.
So drink in the weekend.
That lady was tired with her husband and said, "Forget that," and took off and left him behind.
Flavor any day of the week. So responsibly non-carbonated, naturally flavored,
Oh.
Mall walkers.
I want to do a mall walker. I want to catch one and get them to come in. So, for some of them don't want to be messed with. They got a pace. They got
Yeah, that's interesting.
they got a record they want to keep. Or steps to try to.
It's free fitness.
Don't have to worry about getting too hot. Might get a little too cold if the AC's hitting you just right. Oh, he caught her. He caught her.
I think you cut across. I watched you.
If not, you're
I
missing
think you
one
kind
of
of
the
cut
best
the corner down there.
with amazing food, great drinks, live music, TVs to watch your favorite
Man, I don't
sporting
like to go out
events.
to Potosi
Potosi
Live.
Live team will make sure
Think
you
about
have an experience that you're going to
It's
tell
not
your
hard
friends
to
about.
ever
Check
get
out PotosiLive.com or go like them at Potosi Live on Facebook.
They got pretty good food and-
Live music,
Last night we
ticket
almost,
events.
my
Head out to
mom's
Potosi
and
at
we had
897
facilities for me and
FM
Cole went and saw her.
1754. The
And we
Potosi
almost,
Live.
we get something to eat. And he was like,
Hi, I'm Sharon Riley. Here at Abilene,
we can eat for free at the house. Yeah, good point.
large chains, locally owned.
Is he in school or what's he
Yeah,
doing?
he works at Abilene Motor West.
Okay. With Jeff.
Yeah. Jeff and I've been best buds for 30-something years. So
So we listened to you and have updated our
Culver, he didn't want to go to college. He absolutely hated school. If it wasn't for the fact that he had to go to school to play golf, he hated school. I mean, he liked having friends, but he just super smart kid, man. He just didn't like all the homework.
Yeah.
Not for him.
Is he a hands-on guy? Is that what he likes about Abilene Glass?
Yeah, he can do everything up there. Calvin does most of the calibrations, works the front, takes the rock chips, do it all.
At First Bank and Trust, we see potential, ideas, innovation, growth everywhere. The time has changed and it's time to hit the range.
Right after graduating, he was working for Everett Frazier doing concrete.
He did what?
He worked for Everett Frazier doing concrete stuff. And then Jeff kept going. Every time Jeff was at the house, we were at Jeff's. He was like, "Hey man, you come work for me. I'll pay you more, and I promise you, it's easier than doing concrete." So when he finally did go over there, he came on the first day. He goes, "Oh my gosh, man, it's so much easier than concrete." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I think so."
Coming through your door, call the Pest Patrol.
Get ready. The Hodge Pack. Settle in right now. It is time for the Hodge Pack. Sports, life, and everything. It's Josh, Misty, and Hodge. It's time for the Hodge Pack.
It is time for hour number 2, brought to you by Coleman County State Bank. Check out ColemanCounty.com. They'll get you taken care of. It is Hodge and Trace Michaels in the Potosi Live studio. We are brought to you by Lava Landing Cattle. Head out. They got a new bar set up. Really great remodel. And, of course, order you a Hodge Pack off the menu. Of course, a couple of headlines. Don't forget.
Wait, you got something on the menu out there?
Oh, yeah. There's the Hodge Pack appetizer at Lava Landing Cattle. Yeah.
No kidding. What is it?
It's a kind of a sample platter. You got chicken tenders, jalapeno poppers, chips and salsa, and queso, and cheese sticks.
Man, you've become a big deal.
It's pretty cool. You can order the Hodge Pack.
Stuff
Yeah. Yeah, you can order the Hodge Pack. It's good stuff. So get you one.
You've come a long way.
Yeah, I've come a long way. And it really fits us well. I don't know which one of Josh, Misty, or I, or the chicken tender, the jalapeno popper, or the cheese stick.
I do.
Yeah, we'll not answer those questions. But Misty and Josh out this week. They'll be back next week, and we'll continue getting ready for football season. And we do just that as we've we've been through the West, we've been through the North, we've been through the West and the South, and the NFC and the AFC. And today we are heading up to the northern parts of the NFL, the NFC North and the AFC North, which I think we've mentioned in the Lawrence Hall headline report, I think have some great headlines because you've got quarterbacks. You've got 2 quarterbacks in the AFC North that could be up for not only possibly one for the MVP, but both comeback player of the year. And then in the NFC, a lot of noise. So we're going to start with the NFC. In the NFC South, North, got to get those directions because it's important because if I said South, Minnesota is not very South. But bad news this week for the Minnesota Vikings, their number 1 draft pick, quarterback J.J. McCarthy, out for the season with the torn meniscus, going to have surgery. And now it looks like in that comes the storyline. Can Sam Darnold, who a previous number 1 draft pick, was with the Jets and has bounced around a little bit, can Sam Darnold, you've got weapons. You've got an enormous Justin Jefferson, Hawkinson. I mean, you're going to be good. It's a tough division. But J.J. McCarthy out for the year. And then, of course, the other, you look at it, the number 1 draft pick this year, Caleb Williams, out of Oklahoma and USC, the number 1 draft pick, who I think for being the number 1 draft pick has some of the best weapons because normally you're Bryce Young and you're throwing it to people that nobody knows. You're Baker Mayfield and you have to develop into making Cleveland something. But Caleb Williams, and then you got Jordan Love. Can he love up to the money?
Yep.
And then, of course, the Detroit Lions. Can they handle success?
Yes.
I think there's a lot of excitement in this division.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think everything that you said there is on point. Minnesota, Sam Darnold, but look, J.J. McCarthy, was a rookie. You don't see a ton of rookies leading their team to massive success. So I don't know how successful. But then, of course, you got, like you said, weapons on that team. So can Sam Darnold get the ball into the hands of those playmakers? I don't know. They're obviously going to have to find a way to protect him and give him an opportunity. But to me, I think that Detroit and Green Bay are the class of that division, personally. I think Detroit's got man, that coach gets me excited every time he talks. I'm a believer. So would love to see Detroit. And golly, for Detroit fans, let's let them be good as long as they possibly can be, because that fan base may deserve it more than any other fan base in the NFL.
Well, and I would put them up with the Cleveland Browns, who were faithful. Then the Browns left and they came back, but kind of the same batch. And I look at the Detroit Lions, I wonder, can they piston? Because you remember the Detroit Pistons was like, okay, we're going to get there, and we struggled. We couldn't get past the Lakers, and then they finally won 2, and they kept climbing, and each year they went up a ladder. Chicago did the same thing with Jordan. Couldn't get past the Pistons, finally did, and they won. It'll be interesting to see how Jared Goff continues success. Another former number 1 draft pick, took the Rams to the Super Bowl, unfortunately lost to, like a lot of people did, the Patriots. And then we've got a quarterback that hadn't been signed either, but Jordan Love he's been signed, has a lot of good weapons as well. No Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones has gone to Minnesota. I just think this division has a lot of excitement, but the storylines are, can the Detroit Lions handle success and keep going in the right direction? And really, there's not you could say the 49ers are a front runner, but they're not the Chiefs front runner like in the AFC.
Yeah.
The NFC is wide open.
Yeah, I think the NFC is wide open because I think the story is going to continue. For whatever reason, I don't know what Brock Purdy has to do before Brock Purdy doesn't have to answer the question of how long can you actually keep playing this good.
Right.
But I think that question still remains. Then you've got the Cowboys. Can the Cowboys actually do anything? And then you take a look at this, Detroit. Can they get back to the NFC Championship? I don't know. Who knows? I think you're right. I think it is wide open. I think they're, KC in the AFC, it continues to be a front runner, and you kind of pencil them in to be there in the end. But I think that there are probably 6 teams in the NFC that you could say, yeah, I could see that. I could see it that team going that far.
So if you had to pick a winner of the NFC North, who are you picking?
Give me. Oh man, that's so tough. Give me Detroit. As I think I would go Detroit, Green Bay, Chicago, Minnesota if I had to rank them.
Right, and I'm really wondering. I'm going to pick the Packers to win it. I think, which is to me as much of a gamble. I think you could throw a dart in the Lions or the Packers. I think you could go either way. Misty and Josh both picked the Lions, which I guess that's probably why I went with Packers. But I am really curious. We talk so much about how much pressure is on Deion Sanders to have a good year too. I think Caleb Williams, college coach, and Lincoln Riley is in the same boat of how good are you going to be at USC? You left Oklahoma. Most people try to think you didn't want to go because the SEC was coming, but now you're you're at USC and you're in the Big 10. But I'm curious of how good Caleb Williams is going to be because DJ Moore is legit. The guy from Washington. I'll look him up in a minute. Ozade or Ramon, whatever his name is, from the receiver from Washington, and then they added Swift. I think they got a chance to be loaded, and if he can play C.J. Stroud-like, the Bears, I think, could find a way to leapfrog one of these two, the Packers or the Lions, and actually make the playoffs.
Yeah, I just cannot put my chips on the table for any rookie quarterback. I mean, history just says that that's a bad bet. Not to say that it couldn't happen, not to say that, look at what C.J. Stroud did. But those are rare occurrences where you have a rookie quarterback. What typically happens is what happened to Peyton Manning, Troy Aikman, et cetera. So I'm just not going to put my money on the table for any team that's got a rookie quarterback starting.
Yeah, I agree. And so now we'll move into the AFC North. You've got, again, the quarterbacks in that division, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, who's going to win that job. Probably going to be Russell to start it. Then you got the defending MVP and Lamar Jackson. Joe Burrow coming back from an injury and Deshaun Watson coming back from an injury. A $235 million Deshaun Watson.
I'll never understand that. As long as I live, I'll never understand how they paid that guy that money after everything that happened in Houston.
And guaranteed.
It's insanity.
He ruined the residential market, the home market for quarterbacks with that. Because now my thought is, A, I've been healthier. B, I haven't done what he's done. C, I've been more successful. If he's getting $235 guaranteed, I've got to figure this out.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
So Misty has the Bengals. Josh has the Ravens. I just don't think the Ravens are going to get done. I want Coach Tomlin and I want Russell Wilson to, kind of show, hey, Sean Payton, I am still good. Seattle, I am still good. But I think when you give Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, I think they're going to be pretty good. I still don't think they're going to get any farther than what they've gone, but I've got the Ravens winning the division.
Yeah, when I look at it, I think to myself, okay, Russell Wilson, what in the world has happened? How did this guy go from a top 5 guy in the league to a garbage fire on the field? And so I want to say Pittsburgh is in trouble because of him, but then I think, wait a minute. Mike Tomlin hasn't had a losing record as the coach of the Steelers.
And this is even post Ben Roethlisberger and having to navigate through Mason Rudolph and navigate
he's such
through.
An incredible coach. And so I think that something magical could happen in Pittsburgh, but I'm kind of similar to you. I think it's going to be, you know what, give me Burrow and the new rich wide receivers in Cincinnati.
Right.
Why not? But I think those two are interchangeable, Cincinnati and Baltimore. And then give me Pittsburgh third, and then the Browns, Deshaun Watson. I want them to finish last, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Deshaun Watson had such a great run at Texas, at Houston, the Texans, and then it went south real quick.
And it's not. And when I say that, it's not. I'm not really trying to throw an indictment at Deshaun Watson personally. It's more my problem is more about how could a team possibly, like you said, change the landscape of paying a quarterback by giving somebody with that baggage and all that happened
and that lack of success.
Contract.
And not only take the back. I mean, there was a lot of baggage there, and I don't know what's happened there on the legal side and all that. But take that away. The production at the end of his time at Houston wasn't – I mean, he took them to the playoffs, won a division. He and O'Brien had some great runs. But at the time of the 235, his production wasn't worth $235,
no, I agree.
Much less all of it guaranteed. And
so that's why I say Cleveland. I hope they finish last because I think they got to learn a lesson. You can't manage your team like that where you pay a guy that kind of money guaranteed in that situation. That is crazy.
No, not at all. And again, the other thing about going back to the NFC North, not only do they have DJ Moore, Keenan Allen and Romain Odunze from Washington is who they added. So
when you were saying Washington, I was thinking Redskins for some reason. I didn't realize where you were going.
So anyway, that is what we have. We have the Ravens. Josh has the Ravens. Misty has the Bengals. Lions, and Packers here for me. When we come back, our Big Country Electric My Town segment with Zane Graves, the head football coach at Roby, along with his quarterback and senior safety, Caden Maiviz, will be on our Pest Patrol phone line. We'll be talking to them. And yes, I'm wearing an orange shirt, according to James.
No, it's peach.
But we've upgraded it to peach. We'll be back right after this. All right. So I think to make this happen, I'm going to do this.
I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, that'd be a good thing. All right, I'm going to call him. All right, Oscar Solar. Restart this thing.
6118. Come on out and see us at 3602 North Clark Street. You'll be glad you did.
That's what your touchdown energy cooperative makes possible.
Oh, hold on. Good night. Hold on.
Stop by our offices at Roby, Snyder, and Stanford, or visit online at weekendfleet.com.
Happy Thursdays, my refreshers. A non-carbonated refreshers for weekend flavor every day of the week. Like, you get a case of Monday. Swap it for the brand new flavors Happy Thursday or Rich Tuesday. Look forward to Happy Thursdays. And by Wednesday, sorry, not Monday. Search weekend. Happy Thursdays, my refreshers.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Coach. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, good deal. I'm going to see. We're going to try this and see if it goes through. Caden with you too?
Yes, sir. I'm right here.
Okay, good deal. All right, I think we got you queued. We can hear you. All right, I'm going to text. Can guys hear Coach? All right, guys, we're going to talk. Coach Graves, we'll talk about first head coaching job, the dream of having that first head coaching job. Your dad coached at Roby, right?
Correct.
Okay.
In the late 90s.
Okay. See if people respond. We got Gay Scarborough listening, trying to figure out if we've changed up some of our settings. So we're trying to see if it's going through. We got a couple of commercials left. So Caden, is it MyViz?
Yes, sir. Mine is.
Okay. Have you always played 6-man or?
Well, I've been in 11-man school for most of my life, but 7 and 8 years I was on 6-man football in Paducah.
Okay.
And then freshman and sophomore year and part of my 8th year, I was at Little Field. So I was in 11-man school. So it's kind of new, but kind of been around it before.
Good. Okay. All right. Ooh, got to change that. Let's delete this. So but Graves, you graduated from Rankin.
Correct. We were the last 11-man school there in Rankin.
Okay. We'll talk about how the district's not very fun. We'll roll it. Caden, we'll talk about that kind of stuff with Tony Craven. My Viz just said, "Hey, Caden," so you're getting shout outs already. So, all right, we're about to come back. We got one more commercial and we'll hit it running.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack, sports life and everything in between. We got a little music going on. We hope you're having a great Friday. It is time for our Big Country Electric My Town segment as we kick off. There we go. We got folks watching. We got people. The Roby lines are ready. It is time where we highlight a local player coach program. And today we are highlighting, it's very fitting, they've got offices in Roby, Snyder, and Stanford. And we have on our Pest Patrol phone line joining us this morning, the head football coach at Roby, Zane Graves, and along with quarterback safety, Caden MyViz. We appreciate you guys taking time this morning. Well, again, Roby has a special place in my heart, being the head basketball coach there for 7 years, living there. Still a lot of great people. And so, Coach, let's talk about it. We all dream at some point, I wanted to be a head basketball coach. You want to, growing up in a coaching family, want to be a head football coach. And let's talk about just what it means getting that opportunity. Trace, will you go shut that door? Well, and let's talk about that. Of course, I've said all along one of my big things that I miss is that there is not a better group of fraternity or brotherhood outside our military than the Texas high school coaches and the impact that we and you, because there's still people that call me Coach Holmes today, that get to make that impact. And it is, you want to win some games, but the opportunity that you do get to breathe life and to give excitement to such a great group of kids.
This is my first run at 6-man, and I know the 11-man community has been great to me, but there's nothing like the 6-man community. I mean, I've had so many people reach out and extend advice and help, and it's been crazy to sit down there with you and open up and give you everything they got. So that's been really good because that was the part that I was a little concerned with coming into it. When it comes down to the end of the day, coaching kids is coaching kids. And being in their lives and making a difference. That's something I've done my whole career. But just that fraternity, like you said, has been unbelievable with people reaching out, and couldn't ask for more support or better support than what I've gotten already.
Well, and in talking about the 6-man world, I think some of the best 6-man football is in the big country. We've seen Benjamin, we've seen Westbrook win state championships, and Gordon's kind of outside of that big country area. But just there's so much good 6-man football in this area. Who did you kind of reach out to going from the 11-man to the 6-man world? Who did you reach out to, or did you say, hey, football's football, I'm going to figure this out?
So the main person I did was a distant cousin from Robert Lee McCowan, and his father. They've been there at Robert Lee on and off. Well, his father's been there for a very long time. But even going back to when I went to 6-man coaching school, I sat down with one of my buddies that still coaches there at Rankin, Garrett Avalos. He helped me out a lot. I reached out to Coach Jeffries at Westbrook now, knew him real well for my time in Roscoe. But really just even at coaching school, it was crazy how, they had a talk session, and we just all kind of sat around a table at the convention center, and some guys would get up there for 30, 45 minutes to explain what they did, and then you could sit there and talk to them. Going with that, on staff here, working with some guys that have had great 6-man experience with Coach Conway and Coach Guy. So they've really been tremendous in getting me up to speed really quick, and even my buddy out at Boys Ranch now, that he was at Coronado when I was at Lubbock High. He turned around and sent me everything he had on Huddle, every film. He had all the playbooks he had, all the clinic stuff that he had. So, like I said, it's a bunch of people that have reached out and really helped me to get to where we are.
Well, and Caden, we were talking in the break about how, again, Caden Maiviz, the quarterback, senior quarterback for the Roby Lions, talk about what you're excited about. You were at Littlefield, 11-man, now there's 5 guys that are gone on the field. Talk a little bit about what you're excited about with the senior year, new coach, a new opportunity, and it sounds like you could tell real quick, Coach Graves is more than a coach, but he's invested and cares about and wants to see the Lions succeed. What are you looking forward to most, adjusting to a new coach, but also being that senior leader and all that comes with it?
Being a leader, I know there's much that comes with it, and I don't think I just necessarily want to be a leader as a quarterback, but just be a leader in general. Like, no matter what we're doing, if we're doing defense, offense, conditioning, it doesn't matter. Be a leader. Show up to every practice, any workout. Like over the summer, getting up for 2 days. It was hard getting up, but I put everything into it, show up, then conditioning, we do conditioning after practice. I always try to finish first to put my best in, and do everything I can. I feel if I push myself, the kids around me, my teammates around me will push themselves harder to be more competitive and try to finish first also.
Well, and you know as well as I do, Coach, whether you're at Rankin, you're at Roscoe, wherever, you want numbers, and especially at the 6 man level, having that. So, what kind of numbers are you getting and kids participating? Because you want to go full pads, you want to go practice, you want to be able to have a good look, so that when you do get to those games like Westbrook and Benjamin and those, that you're ready. So, kind of, what are the numbers like there in Roby?
Right now we're sitting at 25, which is, like you said, makes a huge impact on how we practice. I know a lot of people are blessed with those kind of numbers, whether it's 6 men or 11 men even. I talked to a lot of coaches in the area that have 12, 13 guys, and it's hard to get a good look with that many kids. Sometimes you're having to do half a line and things like that. So to be able to put experienced players against experienced players is huge, not only for them to get better, but also for our younger guys. When we can put them against somebody that matches their talent, they're getting quality reps, and you're not wearing kids out, and you're not beating them up for the long season, especially in 6 men with all the running, and it's really a physical game. Whenever you can put kids out there, they have to compete for a spot. I mean, there's just nothing like it. And like I said, we're blessed with 25 athletes out there playing for us right now, so it's really good to be able to, spread that competition around and create that sense of competition so we can all become better.
Well, and I think the other biggest thing is that you see, even in the basketball world at that Class A level, is having the opportunity to possibly have a JV and let kids get to play and get reps and do those things. So 25, I think that's great having that kind of numbers. So let's talk about the season. It's your first head coaching job. Will you feel like Norman Dell off of Hoosiers that first Friday night when you have that first game?
Yeah, and that's what I know. I've talked to the kids about this in the past. I mean, when we look at a district and the Westbrooks and the Hurleys and the Iras and the Highlands, I mean, all these guys in Rotan have been successful. But I tell them, hey, everybody in the state of Texas is working right now. Everybody's practicing, everybody's working hard. But what are you doing to set yourself apart? So we're just trying to take that mentality where, it's us against everybody. But our job is to take care of ourselves and be accountable for ourselves to make ourselves better so we can compete with these guys. And hopefully in the future, we could be up there mentioned with those top guys in our district and competing for a district championship. But at the end of the day, yeah, just like you would do with the Hoosiers, I mean, we might go out there and measure the field goal post here a little bit and let them know that, hey, those guys put on their shoes, their cleats, their pads, the same way you do every day. But we got to get to that mentality where we're going to be the hardest working group, and not only in the district, but hopefully in the state here pretty quick.
Well, and Caden, as a senior, what do you deem, or what are you looking forward to about this upcoming season? And what would you, as a senior, say is a successful senior year for Caden Myviz and the Roby Lions?
I think, as me as a senior, I think at the end of the year, I just don't have any regrets. I want to leave it all out on the field or on the court and know what we're doing because I'm all in. And I know I think a quarterback, it comes with a lot of responsibilities, and there's much that goes into it. But I think I'm built for responsibility. I thrive in those kind of situations. And at this point, I'm still kind of in shock that I'm already a senior. I still remember being a freshman, a junior, I'm a sophomore, even 7th and 8th grade. It just flew by so fast. And I just don't want to have any regrets at the end of the day. I want to put everything I have into it.
Well, and I think that's a great mentality. And again, getting kids to rally around you and make it to where, because I think it's important. You want those freshmen, you want those sophomores, you want those juniors to be one-day senior football players and senior Roby Lions. And so creating that culture of, hey, we're going to work hard and we're going to be successful. Coach Graves, what about you? What will deem success for you as your first year as a head coach, athletic director? What will that mean for you?
Just going out and competing for 4 quarters. I know last year we struggled a lot. We played really good in the first half or the first quarter, and it kind of got to where we'd get down on ourselves and take ourselves out of some ball games. So for me, success, of course, goal is to go out there and compete for a district championship in everything we do. but to determine success is just our kids growing mentally and physically every day. Just going out there and competing and leaving it all on the field. And I think this group is really rallied around that. It's been a great group to be around already, and I'm excited about what the future is. But just instilling that mindset that, we're going to be in every single game no matter what, and we got to keep pushing to get through it. So I think that the number one goal for me is that right there. And I can tell you right now already, just these first couple of weeks of practice, I feel like we're on the right track to that.
Well, and I want to finish with this. You've kind of moved back semi-home, and you've brought Kayla and your family back to a place where it's very familiar. What does it mean being back home and having that? Sometimes it's hard. Jesus said, it's hard to come back to your hometown. But what excitement do you have being in the community that, it's a great community. Roby's such a good town. What does it mean to kind of be back around and having, grandparents and all those things there?
It's been tremendous, and I can't really express how much it means to me and my family in general. Coming from Lubbock, we were always in a small town, like you said. My wife, she was born and raised in the same house right next door to her cousins and her family. So being back in that type of atmosphere is just tremendous for us. That's when I was out on the front porch and the kids were riding their bikes out in the street, and they come up, and I was asking them how they liked Roby. They said they loved Roby. There was so much more to do in Roby than there was to Lubbock. So I was excited to hear them say that, they're enjoying it. But like you said, just to be right down the road from their grandparents and the in-laws and all the family we got here, just everything. And, growing up again, like I said, my dad was athletic director here in the late 90s. Roby's always held a special part in my heart, and they were successful at the time. And being a coach's kid, I was involved with every single thing they did. The boys made the state tournament in basketball, and I can remember going to the drum and watching them play. So just even little things like going to our old weight room and seeing some artwork that my dad had drew on the walls and stuff like that. I mean, it means the world to me to come back and give back to this community that supported us when we were here. And hopefully I'm here long enough that I can retire here. That's the plan. That's what me and Kayla talked about whenever we were getting ready to even apply for this job. Is coaching lifestyle's hard, and it's hard to move kids around, and especially her being born and raised in the same house, she wasn't used to that. So we're ready to put down roots and be a part of the community, not just the school. As far as the athletic director position and her teaching here, we really want to give back to this community and being involved as we can in everything. Roby, Texas, and Fisher County.
Well, Coach, hopefully you'll get to make your own artwork one day, and the success that you have there at Roby, and say, hey, Dad, I've got artwork too. Caden, I appreciate you taking the time to join us as well. Hope you have a great senior year, and that the Roby Lions have a successful year all the way through. And again, Coach, we appreciate you taking the time, and look forward to having you again. Again, that's the Roby head football coach, Zane Graves, and Caden Maives, quarterback. They'll get ready for nothing's changed. You got Lorenzo August 30th?
Yes, sir.
All right. They've got the Lorenzo Hornets August 30th getting ready. Football is knocking on the door. We appreciate them taking the time. When we come back, we're going to talk about $10 billion, and I wish we knew how to spend it. We'll be back right after this.
Keating, I am a resident at Disability Resources Incorporated. I'm here to tell you about
Coach, I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again.
You bet. And we'll post on our Facebook page, and I'll send you the podcast link. That way, Caden, you can have it forever, and y'all can tell all the people in Roby to download, subscribe, rate, and review. All right. Thanks, guys. You bet. Same here. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Your laptop, TV, mobile phone.
Dang, I should have told him how to beat Herman. I know the inside way to beat Herman.
How's that?
Let's get Sandy talking about his Rangers collection. Get him
Distracted?
Get him unfocused.
Making life easier. Because when
I don't know. I can't remember the last day that went by that I didn't talk to Sandy Winters.
Really?
We talked almost every day. Even if it was just a text. Like I didn't reply to one of his texts yesterday morning. And I saw it while I was working, and I didn't reply. By dinner time, I'm getting another text from you alive, man.
He's done a good job there. It's caught a lot of flack, but well, I think the flack's gone now that the
That school board is crazy. That dude does not have to coach there. They need to be nice to him. He could coach a lot of other places.
Yeah.
And that guy's work ethic is ridiculous.
Happy Thursday, Spike Refreshers. Weekend flavor any day of the week. Celebrate responsibly, not carbonated, naturally flavored with other natural flavors. 21 and up contains alcohol. 2024 Molson Coors Beverage Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin beer.
When it comes to finding the right vehicle for you, there's no better place than Parts All in Abilene. For over 34 years.
You know, during the softball playoffs, while everybody else at that level are just getting all the film they can possibly get, that dude goes and scouts every opponent in person, no matter how many miles he's got to drive. That's insane.
All right, I've got to find that list.
Abilene's best new car dealer for over 28 years. IU, our customers.
You are customers.
Pest control, pest control, pest control. Get a big bright yellow truck coming to your door.
We'll do that.
I'm Weldon Hurt, and we've been protecting families just like yours with pest problems for 30 years. If you have pest issues, let our family help yours. For service or questions, call or text at 325-673-6700.
A big bright yellow truck coming to your door. Pest control.
What's your favorite song, isn't it?
Black Plumbing Heating and Air is here to help our customers in Abilene and Brownwood tackle the summer heat. We're out to provide affordable heating and air services by offering a residential $79 AC tune-up special, where our certified technicians will make sure you can enjoy peak performance out of
Still hard for me to believe that Weldon's the mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah.
It's just so weird.
I got one more.
At First Bank and Trust, our story started in 1996 and it continues because of you, our customers, our communities, and our neighbors. We are proud to be a small part of your success. But where does your story start? Where do you want to go? Whether starting a business, saving for the future, or launching your ideas to the next level, we want to help you take your first steps towards something big. Call or email one of our bankers today. At First Bank and Trust, we see potential, ideas, innovation, growth everywhere.
That stop sign was on the windshield when I bought that car. And the car was upside down.
Used to be one of our themes for our disaster of the week. Welcome back to the Hodge Pack Sports Live and everything in between. And since we're talking about Jerry Jones, I think the car being upside down when I got there may be something he may say. But this past week, again, we appreciate Trace Michaels in studio with
Thanks for
me.
the invite today, buddy.
Oh, it's good
Good
stuff.
to see you, man.
But we were looking at in our rundown this past week, Jerry Jones Sportco came out with their list of the most expensive franchises. And, of course, the Dallas Cowboys ranked at the top at $10.3 billion with a B. And it got us thinking. I want to talk about this whole thing about, because when we think the Cowboys, the first thing, and there's a lot of people in our listening world that are still very upset about Jerry Jones, about how he got rid of Tom Landry and all the things. But he bought the Cowboys for $149 million, and now they are worth $10.3 billion. And a lot of people say things have got to change. If anything's going to get better, they got to get rid of Jerry. Well, Jerry's not going anywhere, Trace.
No.
His next home will be when the Lord calls him, because he's not leaving. He's going to stay there, and I think the Jones family is going to be like the Hunt family and the Rooney family. It's going to be in the family for a long time. And so $10.3 billion. And I think the frustrating part, and you hear people talking about it, and we've said it, is you've got the money, but there is salary cap issues, and you've got to figure that. But we have got to get the people signed that need to be signed. Now, CD Lamb, I think you've got to sign. But the problem is we've waited around, and just like anybody else and any other time you wait, that price for that house of CD Lamb was a lot cheaper about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But when you start seeing people like Justin Jefferson getting paid, you start seeing DJ Moore, these people getting paid, now CD is going to cost you a lot of CDs in the bank to make that happen.
Well, and CD Lamb wasn't going to sign until a couple of those other guys signed. So, people can be upset with Jerry all they want, and I'm not the world's biggest Jerry Jones fan, but I think it was pretty clear that CD wasn't signing anything until a few of those other dominoes fell to see what the market was going to be. So that's pretty wise. If I was CD Lamb, that's what I would do as well. I agree. I think they need to get him signed. And until they do, he needs to stop saying stuff like he said. I mean, some of his comments, he being Jerry Jones, some of his comments have been, to me, just kind of weird.
Right.
And I don't know that is very conducive to having a happy CD Lamb when he comes back, even if he does get paid. You just don't want to. Do you have to say that kind of stuff? He's just a very unique, strange individual. But when you're talking about what a team's value is, just because a team is valued at $10 billion doesn't mean that they got a bunch of cash to spend on a player.
Right.
I mean, some of those valuations have to do with the land, with the
stadium.
There's so much that goes into that. But obviously you got salary cap and all those type of things. I think he'll get signed. If I was a gambling man, I think he gets signed before the end of next week. I think it gets done. It wouldn't shock me if it was done in the next 5 days.
Well, and you start looking at the stuff that we've seen from injury-wise. Of course, I'd asked a friend of mine, I said, how long does it take to get into game shape? And he said it was about 2 weeks, because I don't care what you do in practice, that first game is totally different. I mean, you're in shape, but it's still getting into game shape because of the adrenaline that comes with that first bit and all the things that come with a game day and game shape. But we've seen a lot, and obviously you can get hurt in a regular season practice on a Tuesday, whatever. But I just want to be sure that from a Cowboys fan and from a team perspective, we're going to have CD on the field. Yeah. And Dak's going to have CD, because Dak needs CD not only for the success, because Dak is a scratch-off lottery ticket right now. He is playing for a season to where somebody is probably going to pay him $60 or more million a year. And if he has any kind of year that the successful year that he's had the last couple of years, it does need to happen in the playoffs, but he's betting on himself. And somebody's going to pay him. I mean, we've seen that. Sure. Somebody's going to pay him. But he needs CD to be able to have that success. And Emmitt Smith was on a show and was being interviewed, and he talked about how they're putting way much more pressure on Dak that's already there. To be the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys is already pressure. But when you take away your best weapon, now that pressure's even more difficult or higher.
Well, and then you add in my opinion anyway, you add in the fact that we don't know if they're going to be able to run the football. We got some changes up front. You bring back Ezekiel Elliott, who we missed him last year in short distance situations, goal to go, some of those type of things. But we don't know if we're going to be able to run the football. And so that puts even more pressure on Dak and the passing game. And so now you want Dak to literally do it all by not having CD out there if you don't get things done. Just sign the guy. You're going to pay him. You don't want him to walk. So just pay the guy. Let's get this over with.
And, you had some people they're calling holdouts that they're being called hold-ins
Yeah.
because they're staying there, they're at the facility and all that. That's my other deal. CD's nowhere there. He's
No.
not even there hanging out, not saying, hey, guys, I want to be here, but I've got to take care of myself. I am the investment. I am making a business decision. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm hoping Trace is right. By the end of next week, we got CD signed, and now you can focus on, because it looks like the Dak deal, I doubt happens during the season. I bet he takes the approach that Lamar Jackson did when he said, hey, I'm going to play the season. I'm not going to talk about it during the season. But if Jerry says, hey, we're ready to sign you for X, I bet he does.
So what percentage of Cowboy fans do you think are out there that hope that Dak Prescott is not a Dallas Cowboy after the season?
That'd be interesting. We could put that on and make that, because I know there's some, and I know Greg Austin, who you'll hear later this afternoon on the Texas Two Step. He's not a Dak guy, and there are people out there that are like, they want to throw it on Dak that, hey, we've got to go on and we got to get somebody different. One of Misty's Bags questions a few weeks ago was, will Dak be the starting quarterback in 2025? I say yes, but I also say in the same deal, not only yes, but where do you think you're going to upgrade to? Because I'm not saying these preseason games have told me everything, but it's kind of made sure that I don't think Trey Lance is.
Well, and that's the dilemma that you have. If you don't want Dak to be your quarterback, do you really want to take the chance of letting him go and then trying to be one of those teams that you've seen around the league that have struggled to win games because they can't find a quarterback that can do anything? Do you really want to be one of those teams when you know with Dak you at least have a chance? Yeah, sure, he hasn't gotten it done in the playoffs, but who's to say that he won't get it done in the playoffs at some point? I just don't know that I want to go into that quarterback carousel deal. There are times that Dak drives me absolutely insane, but I don't know that I want to be that team that's drafting somebody and hoping, crossing your fingers that they work out. I mean, who are you going to get through free agency? Of course, if there's quarterbacks that are out there that would they not want to play for the Dallas Cowboys? But I don't know, man. I think you better be careful before you start sending Dak packing.
Well, and it's the same thing with Mike McCarthy, because that's the other deal is that, the same percentage or the same question could be asked. If McCarthy goes 12-5 again this year and doesn't make it to the NFC Championship game,
He's gone.
He is gone, but that would be a question for the fans. Who do you want to come back? Who do you want, and I just put it out there on Facebook, do you want Dak to be the quarterback this year, next year, and years to come? Do you want Mike McCarthy to be the coach this year, next year, and years to come?
Yeah, for me, I think we saw what McCarthy did last year calling plays, the success that the offense had. This will be interesting, with, whatever his name was, that was the DC that left, now the head coach from Washington.
Quinn.
Yeah, Coach Quinn. So what's the defense going to be like? I think that is just as important of a question as anything under new leadership there. To me, it's all about just win, baby. That's it. That fixes all of these questions go away if the Cowboys win. And we talked about it earlier in your show here that the NFC is more wide open, I believe, than the AFC. And so you got an opportunity to win. And if you do that, then all these questions fix themselves. And if you don't, then you're back in the quagmire of what do the fans want? Who do we want? Because face it, you're the number one franchise in all of sports for a reason.
Right.
Because you have a massive fan base, and we've had expectations for a very long time, and it's your fault. You gave us those kind of expectations.
And you talked about it. And you talked about it. That, you made the comment that we're all in, and you said it on repeat, and come to find out you're all in. It says, hey, we're going on a vacation. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to go, and then you end up not taking us anywhere.
Yeah.
We're actually just going to go to the next room, and there's vacation there. He's really not done anything. But we'll finish the show with this. So that ranking that Sportco came out with had the Dallas Cowboys at number one at $10.3 billion. Number 2, the Golden State Warriors
Mm.
at 8.2. The Yankees at 3 at 7.5.
How can the Golden State
7.9.
Warriors be worth more than the New York Yankees? I just
I don't know. I'd be curious to know that too.
I don't understand that.
But here's your top 10. You've got the Cowboys, the Warriors, the Yankees, LA Rams. Probably has something to do with maybe the stadium and all that.
Yeah.
New York Giants at number 5, still at $7 billion. The New York Knicks, Los Angeles Lakers at 7. The Patriots, the 49ers, and the New York Jets are at number 10. That's your top 10 in the order of the most expensive valued franchises. The other thing that I thought was interesting is how far down you have to go. Of course, there's 153 franchises is what that's their ranking. They couldn't find 154. But what the billion dollar franchises go all the way to number 118.
Wow.
And that's the LA Galaxy is the last $1 billion franchise, and they're at 1 billion. And then it goes down to a bunch of hockey teams that start the $900 million and all that. But mostly it's soccer teams that finish out the end of it. CF Montreal is at 153.
Football is life.
For $440 million. The Texas Rangers, they land just behind the New York Rangers of hockey at 76 at it's gotten worse. 2.3 billion.
That's it?
Is what the Rangers are at.
Well, anybody want to loan me 2.4? I'll buy them.
I think they'd be for sale. The Saints, but it definitely shows you. Let me see if I can figure out and go all the way down to who who do you think? I don't know. Who do you think is the least valued NFL team?
Least valued.
They're
NFL
at 41. They're at 41 at $4.7 billion, which still means they've got some relevancy.
Carolina Panthers.
They are not. The Carolina Panthers are not that. The Carolina Panthers are actually at 31.
Is it Cleveland?
It is not. It is their state friend, the Cincinnati Bengals,
really?
at $4.7 billion.
Huh.
This rounds out 39, 40, and 41. 39 is New Orleans, 40 is Jacksonville, and Cincinnati is at number 41.
Wow, Cincinnati is not as valuable as Jacksonville?
Yeah, and I don't know.
Weird.
Yeah, so Cincinnati at 4.7, Jacksonville at 4.76.
Got to be some stadium type stuff.
There's got to be some land stadium type.
Yeah.
I was going to try to find where the Mavs were. Where did the Mavs are at 48 at 4.4.
They'll go up after they win it all this next season.
You think you calling out the Mavs win it all?
Yep.
There you go. You have heard it right here that the Mavs will win the NBA title.
Let's do it.
So Jerry's got $10 billion. He's got plenty of money to spend. But again, got to find a way to make it. And it is our fault. We have helped him make that $10.3 billion. We've gone to the games. We've gone to concerts. We've gone to everything we can think of at AT&T. We've gone probably, I'm sure, part of that $10.3 billion. We've gone to the Star. We've done those things, and you continue to buy. But you can continue to listen to the Dallas Cowboys right here on 106.9 The Country Giant. We are part of the Dallas Cowboy Radio Network, along with the Texas A&M Aggies. Again, Trace, appreciate you coming in this morning.
Catching up with you.
Enjoying talking football, talking sports. It's always good. Be sure to check out Tracer Cards on Facebook. Check out the breaks that he has. Always good stuff. You got a big day tomorrow.
Yeah. Watch some Rangers tomorrow.
Yeah, it'll be good stuff. So the Rangers and he and his son going to watch Texas Rangers tomorrow. It should be good. Have a great weekend. Josh, Misty, and Hodge will all be back next week. Have a great weekend. Stay cool, and go Patrick Cantley.
LTV Stanford, 106.9 FM.
He's got the strangest personality.